Hello friends. So I just wanted to make a short video doing a little post-mortem on the Summon Reaper and what I thought about it. If you want the too long didn't watch, the Reaper has very good single target if you scale it properly using certain tricks, perhaps unintended clever uses of game mechanics, let's just call it that. Otherwise, the clear is just really bad. And the summary to me is that really the right way to use her right now is do a regular build, either with specters are going to be a little too annoying because you're going to have to like unsummon and resummon them, but probably zombies and skellies, or maybe even like a carrion golem build, and keep her unsummoned as you're doing the map because she has that other minions have less damage and less life. Keep her unsummoned, and then when you go into the boss room, then summon her and do the Spellslinger trick, which I'll show you guys in a second, to do a very good amount of damage. The single target is very, very good. So the right way to use her, as far as I can tell, she's just not good for overall map clear, but she can do really good single target. So what is the Spellslinger trick? So there's a few different ways that we can use the trick here with any sort of trigger. So some people have been doing it with traps. I think that that's kind of unnecessary. I think the Spellslinger trick might be even better due to the way that cooldown works and the way that you can trigger it and all that. It's a little bit more consistent. As you can have one Reaper out. So as you can see, this Reaper has the multi-strike linked to her. It's a level 5 Reaper, and she has the multi-strike linked to her. This is the Reaper that is out and summoned. And then I have another Reaper that is just level 1 and is linked to Spellslinger. Then I have a Frenzy that I am just using to attack as quickly as possible with Barrage. And when I attack with Frenzy, it triggers the Reaper. And you see that she's doing the multi-strike attack and everything like that. Now, the clever use of game mechanics here is that the normal Reaper has a 3-point... I have some CDR gear on right now. So normally, she has a 4-second cooldown with some CDR gear, and then if you had the helmet enchant and a divergent summon Reaper, I actually had the cooldown down to about 1.7, 1.8 seconds, which is pretty good. And in fact, if you go below that, it kind of bumps up against some internal cooldowns with the attack speed and all that. So you see that this one has 2.42 seconds, and that is because she is linked to Spellslinger, which inherently has a cooldown recovery rate boost. So we can attack with Frenzy, and you'll see that it's doing the fast cooldown. So if I manually cast with the one that's summoned, that's a 3-second cooldown. Now you can see how long it takes. But if I attack with Frenzy in trigger, you can see it's over half a second faster. And you can actually get that down to less than 2 seconds. It's pretty cool. And as you can see, I can just sit here and do Frenzy attacks, and it's triggering her multi-strike. Now, what I've run into is when I was pushing the cooldown really low, I wanted to get her attack and movement speed as high as possible. So I was using Flesh Offering, Minion Speed. I even tried using Haste Aura and all that. But I think it's very similar to a cast on crit setup, which if you're familiar with, there's certain breakpoints where you have a certain amount of attack speed, certain amount of triggers per second, and then your cooldown reduction can only allow certain cooldown certain triggers per second as well. And there's also the number of server ticks that are happening. So you need to have that lined up so you're able to trigger every single time perfectly per server tick. Now, I think we have something similar in this case where if you get too much attack speed, she will actually sit there and not attack between multi-strikes because she's waiting for another server tick. So do be aware of that if you're going to be using this trick. So I optimized the actual configuration pretty well, but I left my gear very, very bad. And as you can see from here, this is a clip from my stream 2 days ago. I was fighting an Awakener 3 Drox.
Oh, she's chunking.
And as you can see,
once
she chunks them down. She chunks them down really, really good. And that is with just a level 21 plus 2 from my Ascendancy Reaper. I wasn't using anything like... I guess you can't use Cold Iron points with Spellslinger, but I wasn't getting any plus minion levels anywhere else. I didn't have any minion damage on my gear at all. It was very, very scuffed gear. So in terms of single target, she is very, very good. It's just the problem is, even if she's as fast as possible, her actual attacks as you're running around the map are very, very like clunky. Like they have slow animation. She does like a swirl and then like a jump attack. And even with using zombies and a carrion golem to try to like boost to the clear and making it a little bit better, it just felt really, really clunky. There was just no compelling reason to build around her and invest that much in it just for better single target when my map clear is just feeling really. Now, she recently got buffed just yesterday, and all that buff is the cast time that was 1 second is now 0.6 seconds, which you can see with my CDR or my improved cast time. It goes down to 0.47. It's still like this was the main problem. This is one of the main problems is you're running around manually casting her, and this is just so much clunkier, right? Than than just doing some setup where you're doing something like this and triggering. So even if they make that cast time 0, they make it instant, and you put it on your left click, it's still gonna feel kind of clunky and bad. Even if you also. The mana cost you can see is scaling up here. Mine cost almost 200 mana yesterday. I know they reduced it with the patch, but it cost almost 200 mana just to target her. Whereas with the trigger, because we're doing it with Spellslinger and Frenzy, it's only costing 10 mana as I'm sitting here attacking. So that is the other benefit, is you can just link Spellslinger with a level 1 gem, reserves almost nothing, and then you're just attacking with Frenzy. There's no mana cost. So it's a clever use of game mechanics. It lets you push the single target very, very high. Also, I was building her with Impale. So I tried scaling the bleed, and I know they over doubled the bleed damage yesterday, but even with scaling her with bleed and using ensnaring arrow and monsters are ruptured and maim and all that type of stuff, I just could not get the bleed damage to even a point where doubling it would be noticeable. Whereas I built her around Impale using Rotten Claws and increased Impale effect where I could find it, where I actually had her 100% chance to Impale, and as you saw from the Drox kill, it was very, very smooth. Like the single target is good. I really suggest if you're going to build around this character, she's awesome. I love the concept. There's a reason why I played her for 4 days as hard as I could, trying to make her work, but I just could not make the map clear feel good. The single target was awesome. I'm sure someone will make a video that just shows her killing Cirrus in like one multi-strike. Like I firmly believe that the damage numbers are good. I actually had no issues with keeping her alive once I scaled the life and the resistances a little bit, but I could not get her map clear good. Even with haste aura, minion speed, everything I could get, it was just slow. She has a tiny AoE. I couldn't get it big enough. So I even took Plaguebringer. I linked her to a couple increased AoE gems, and her normal attacks were still too small. So that's my summary. It's a very cool skill. I hope GGG looks at her ability to clear maps, because it's really bad. I have 2 recommendations if GGG ever watches this video and they want to know, or if you guys want to somehow get these recommendations out to her. There's 2 ways to fix her. There's 2 ways to easily fix her. The first one would be just remove the non-Reaper minions lines. If you just remove that so she's an additional minion, I know it totally goes against the fantasy of having a solo minion that's carrying you, but it just needs to be done. If you, in her current state, if they make no other changes, that would fix her, because you can have a normal minion build. You don't even have to build around the Spellslinger trick, and she is just a nice bonus to your setup. However, that's obviously not the purpose of the skill. The other thing would be just absolutely tweak her animations and her AoE for her normal attacks. I would just straight up double it. Make her normal spin attack like half the screen, and then make her actual like targeting AI super, super aggressive, super fast. Make her do like basically flicker strikes going around the screen, murdering everything, right? Like if she is supposed to be the solo minion that you have out, she has to be doing something along the lines of a character that's just flicker striking and clearing the screen. Otherwise, it's just going to feel really, really bad. There is no competition right now between her and just having a bunch of crabs or syndicate operatives out. And that's it. So if hopefully this gives you guys some ideas. I'm sure people will find some really good damage showcases. So anyway, if you guys have more thoughts, I'd love to hear them. But that is the summary of where I am on the Reaper. Unfortunately, I have shelved her already. I have moved on. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the Reaper if you still stick with her, but I just couldn't do it. She drained me of my energy. She reaped me. Yeah, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. I would like to give a special shout out to my patrons: Tricky Nick, Amarius, Bifrost50, Mark Hahn, Nafin L, Rentner, The Wrong Thing, William Lee, Aaron White, Colin, Day R, Exferdidius, Gazer1990, Michael Rack, Mr. Doubleina, Nikolai Sixlink Andrew, and Whoop. If you'd like to get your name in the credits of my videos and some other cool things, head over to patreon.com/subtractem. Thank you.